live for the weekly Passive Wealth Power Hour,
Yeah.
where my partner and my co founder, Desi Arnaz, and myself, Patrick Franz, are going to be coming on here every single Wednesday, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. And we're going to be answering all of your questions live when it comes to note investing, apartment development, fund investing, trusts, life insurance, and you name it. But
Wow.
what we're going to do today for today's live show is we're going to be talking about our Doors to Prosperity program, which has to do with developing apartments with the help of investor partners in the fastest growing county in one of the fastest growing states, right in the path of progress. Okay. And we're going to be discussing how you or someone you know may want to get involved as an investor uh, in these apartment builds because, boy, the plan we're going to go over, which is called Doors to Prosperity, is an awesome, awesome plan to create
Yeah.
cash flow, security,
Yeah.
wealth, and a better legacy for your family. So
Yeah.
that's
An
what we're going to talk
amazing
about.
legacy. An
Amazing
amazing
legacy.
legacy,
I
Patrick.
want everybody to know that on the live, right? If you're going to watch the recording, of course, we won't be live, so we won't be there to answer your questions. But anybody who jumps on this live who has a question about what we're speaking of, apartment development, questions about investing, and things like that, feel free, please. This is a live Q&A, right? So we're going to discuss our presentation today on the Doors of Prosperity, but at any time, we're encouraging y'all who are
Yeah.
watching live to ask us questions in the chat. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. We want to field those questions throughout this show and be able to answer them live here on your social media channel. So, hey, Desi, how are you, sir?
Hey, Patrick. I'm excited. This is our first episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
First of many. You said that I have to make a commitment to be here every week?
Yes, sir.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
in. I'm in. I'm excited to do it too, as a matter of fact, because I love talking about the things that you and I do, because we get to actually make a lot of money and have a lot of fun at the same time. You know, most people can't say that. So we have a pretty good grasp of our businesses, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. Our show, you said, was called the Passive Wealth Power Hour.
Oh, yes. Every Wednesday, 5 to 6 o'clock p.m., live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and other social media channels. And it's because what do we like to talk about, Des? We're here to talk about helping people build
Yeah.
passive wealth, and leaving a better legacy, financial legacy for your families. That's what we're all about. And so that's what we're here to talk about. And again, if you come on live, we want you to put your questions, if you do have any, in the chat, in the comments, because
Okay.
we're here to answer questions. It's a live Q&A every Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. So put your questions that you may have in the chat, okay?
So you,
And
you
we'll try to
mentioned the
remind them
door.
of that about every 5 minutes, Des.
Okay. So you mentioned that the doors to prosperity. So what? Tell me about that. What's that program look like, Patrick?
Well, we have a fund, right? Everly May Capital Group is a $250 million investment fund. And what we do is we develop apartments from the ground up
Hmm.
in the path of progress. Okay. And so, of course, what we've done is we've chosen a city called Palm Bay, which is in Brevard County in Florida. It's on the Space Coast. And it's the fastest growing county in Florida. And Palm Bay, what a beautiful little city. And it's
Yeah.
very, very close to some beautiful beaches and beautiful restaurants, bars. There's so much going on and so much growth that, of course, the Apartment Housing Administration in Florida says that they need 530,000 new doors between now and 2030. And we plan between now and 2030 to build about 1,000 or so of those doors. And so we're just going to do
Wow.
a small piece of what they need, right?
Hmm.
But it's not a normal investment opportunity for people, is it, Des?
It's a little different,
A little
and
different.
I tell you what, it kind of came to me in a as an epiphany in the middle of the night. You ever have that, Patrick, where you wake up in the middle of the night? It's like, whoa, I can't even go back to sleep now. I'm excited, and so I literally got out of bed and wrote down what I had just envisioned, and so that I wouldn't forget. Because so many times when I stay in bed, I say, "Oh, I'll remember that," and I wake up in the morning, I I can't even remember what the basic theme was, let alone the exact thing that I thought I would remember. So yeah, it's a really unique program. It is it's a short term and a long. It has a short term and a long term component, and I love both. Okay,
Mm,
can I
mm.
just give them like the big picture here, Patrick?
Yeah, yeah, and just to remind everybody, today we're going to be talking about Doors to Prosperity. It's an awesome investment opportunity, and we encourage you, since this is intended to be a live Q&A session for all you
Mhm.
folks out there on the socials. Feel free at any time to pop any type of question you may have, okay, into the comments, and we'll try to field those questions live here. And this is going to be done every single Wednesday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. Today, we're talking about Doors to Prosperity. And Desi, yeah, go ahead and break it down at a high level what this idea is and how this may really, really benefit our investor partners.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of nuances that we won't be talking about right this very second. We may get into some of them, especially if questions come in about it. But here's the big picture, guys. The way that the Doors to Prosperity program works is this. We're raising capital to build two apartment buildings at the same time. Well, obviously, if you're building two buildings at once, you have something called economies of scale, right, Patrick? Where, hey, we buy twice as many doors, we buy twice as many countertops, and twice as much carpeting or whatever, right? So we are able to get better pricing for each building. But we're going to build two buildings at once. One is going to be a little larger than the other. And then the plan is this. We sell the larger of the two buildings, and then we use the proceeds from the sale of the larger building to return the capital investment of all of our investor partners, along with a pretty reasonable return as well. And so they have all their money back, and we all keep the ownership of the smaller building, and we earn rental income from that forever. Think about that for just a minute. We build two, we sell one, we keep one. And we got this rental income that's just going to come in forever. And we don't have any money in the deal because we pull all of our money out right up front. So that's the deal in a nutshell. And I just thought that's a wonderful plan.
I know there may be a lot of people that'll watch this live. They may be on live now. I can't see maybe if we have any people watching. I don't know if you can see from your end, but if you are watching right now and you're live, okay, you probably have heard of syndication. Okay, you probably heard
Hmm.
of syndication. It's very, very popular. Okay, and like if you've heard of what syndication is when it comes to buying apartment buildings, owning apartment buildings, if you heard what syndication is, drop a one in the comments. Drop a one in the comments. Let us know you understand what syndication is, okay?
Hmm.
If you don't quite understand it, we'll explain it to you right now. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, Des, of the syndication model is because that's what most people are accustomed to hearing about right now, which is going to buy a dilapidated existing apartment building for the reason of value add. And the purpose is to try to get the best deal you can on buying a dilapidated apartment building, maybe mismanaged, maybe needs
Sure.
maintenance, exterior, interior maintenance, you name it. It's got issues. It's kind of like the same thing of when a real good house flipper goes out there and finds to try to find a real profitable house flip. Well, their best angle of attack is to be a problem solver for the house that has all the worst problems, and they're going to
Hmm.
usually make the biggest spread there. So if you look at syndication and going out and raising investors' capital to go out and purchase an existing apartment building for the purpose of value add. Okay. So most people are used to. So again, if you know what that syndication model is and you kind of get it, drop a one in the comments so that we know you understand what we're talking about. Now, I don't want it to be a comparison. As we say, there may be some similarities here, but we're talking about an entirely different plan. Okay. To
Yeah.
remind you guys, if you have questions about what we're discussing, please pop them in the comments section. We're here to answer questions live every Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. But if you understand syndication, what that means, drop a one in the comment. I'm going to let Desi explain to you a little bit about why this is a little different, maybe a lot different, and it provides a better avenue, okay, for your family to have and your legacy to have cash flow, long term wealth, legacy, tax write offs, you name it. And I'll let you take the floor here, Des. But listen, most people are very familiar with syndication, going and picking a crummy old apartment building that has issues. Okay. Going and buying that with investors' money, doing the value add, and refinancing and hopefully giving the investors a good return. How does our Doors to Prosperity plan differ from that?
Yeah. You know what's interesting? What you just said, Patrick. I have heard of that now for more than a decade, where people join, they invest in a syndication. The general partner, they come in as limited partners, right? The general partners are the people that are doing all the work and finding the deals and negotiating and making everything happen. Well, the general partners then they go out and they try to find any rundown, poorly managed multifamily property, and they're in a very competitive environment in that space. Uh, I've been licensed as a real estate broker since 1980, so that's a long time, and I've seen many, many, many of these types of arrangements. It's difficult, first of all, to find um, rundown apartment buildings where the owners want to sell them. A lot of times these are slum landlords, and they love the fact that they don't have to spend money on this thing, right? And they don't want to sell, and so they hold on to it. And what happens is with these syndicators, they are forced to take them where they stand. So if they happen to find one, and it happens to be in maybe not so good of an area, that's the only thing they've got. They've got to bid on that and try and pick that property up. And so one of the problems that I see with that model is that you're always, well, I shouldn't say always, but the overwhelming majority of the time you're picking up property in less desirable neighborhoods. You know, that's just the reality of it. That's just the reality of how that whole system works. When that happens, then what they do is they have to start to vacate some of the properties, some of the units. If the units are occupied, they have to get those people out. If there are leases, they can't get them out, right? They may have to give them they may have to pay for them to move into another apartment or whatever. But as leases expire, then they move in with their crew and they put in new carpet, they paint, they maybe remodel the kitchens and the bathrooms, that kind of thing, and put in a new tenant at a higher rent. But one of the challenges that they have, Patrick, is that they're looking for a better quality tenant than what's previously was in the place, right? And the better quality tenants, especially with the first few coming in, they don't necessarily want to live with the existing tenants that are in there. You know what I mean? It's like, it might be a nice apartment, but it's not in the best part of town. The existing tenants that are in there are kind of like, not my type of people, that kind of mentality. And so there's a lot of challenges with that. And so our program, though, solves all those problems. Our Doors to Prosperity program, because we don't go out and buy things that we're not going out to buy an ugly building. We go out and we buy land. We buy land. That's where we start the process. And Patrick, how do we pick our land?
Got to be directly in the path of progress. I was laughing and telling the story to someone the other day, Des, and we live in San Diego, California, and we're 30 minutes away from Temecula. And boy, can I remember helping my older sister move. My older sister is about 9.5 years older than me. And I remember I was just in my early 20s. I'm in 45 now, so it's been a while. But I remember, 25 years ago, right? Temecula, Murrieta and Temecula area was under massive growth. People migrating and moving, and Temecula was growing like crazy. And I remember my
Yes.
sister moved up there. I helped her move up there. And, I was looking over at Florida and looking at the distance it is, right, from Orlando. Right, Palm Bay is 45 minutes outside of Orlando, and Palm Bay is like Temecula was 25 years ago. It's a place that's under massive growth, and that's why we chose that location. And good for reminding them. You guys remember, everybody live, okay? Remember to drop a 1 in the comment, because I want to know if you understand what we're talking about. Do you understand the difference between syndication and what we're about to tell you, okay? And then secondly, feel free to drop questions if you have any in the comments. This is intended to be live Q&A, not just a presentation from us. So if you have questions, put your questions in the comments and we'll try to answer them live, okay? But yes, it's way different, Des, right? It's way different. So here we go, and we buy raw land.
Yes. And
Yes.
by the way, that's out of the wheelhouse for most investors in the real estate space, period. Right? They just don't even know what to do with it. But once we buy that raw land, what we do is we get that land entitled. And what that means is we jump through all the hoops that the government requires so that we can actually stick a shovel in the ground and start building a building. Okay? That's a process. And by the way, it's expensive as well. very expensive. It certainly is six figures in most instances to get this land entitled. Okay, so it's an expensive proposition. Takes a little bit of time, but because we do this, we know how to get through the system a lot faster than most people would know how. Then we start building the buildings, the two buildings together at the same time. We use the same crews. We try to put these buildings very close to one another so that we can have the economies of scale that I spoke of earlier. We're going to build one larger building, one smaller building. But I love the fact that we're building not in a bad neighborhood. As a matter of fact, we're building in the most desirable neighborhoods. So for us, once these buildings are done, it's not very difficult to get good tenants. One of the other things that Patrick and I decided to do with these buildings is we decided that what we would do is we would build each of our buildings to condominium specifications. Even though we're not selling them as condos, we could, but we're not selling them as condos. We're selling them as complete multifamily buildings. But by building them to condominium specifications, we're able to get a higher rent because condos rent for more than regular apartments because they're better built, right? They're better built. They have more amenities. They have granite. They have in-unit washer and dryers instead of a laundry room that you got to go down the hall or across the street or whatever to get to, things like that. So that's what we've done. And so we're able to get more rent, which, by the way, is how you value a multifamily building based upon how much rental income these things can produce, right? That's how you value them. So we're able to build these things at 65 to 70 cents on the dollar of their overall value. So rather than buying an old, ugly building and then trying and hoping that you can get that place upgraded so that you can raise the rents and improve the value, we literally, as soon as we finish the construction, we've already got the value of the equity in that property. It's instant equity. And so we're able at that point to sell the larger building and pull out enough cash to make our investor partners whole, and then we all keep the smaller building and we collect rents on it forever. Powerful, powerful.
That's what they call an infinite return in the investing world, right?
Yeah, infinite, right. So if someone asked you the other day, well, what's the return? Well, you know what? There is no calculation that you can do when you have no money invested and you're getting a monthly paycheck. You're getting a monthly return on your investment, but you have no money invested. So the return is incalculable. So it is infinite. And here's the beautiful thing, Patrick. What we suggest to people is once you have all your money out and you've made your initial return, then do it again. Let's just do it again. And so you're using the same money. It's like recycling the same money over and over and over to build up a portfolio of apartment buildings and doors, as we like to call them, right? And literally over a period of time, we will own hundreds of doors and even thousands of doors, all by investing the very same money over and over and over. Isn't that cool?
Such a cool plan. I mean, if anybody is listening, right? Yeah, Desi says on the screen there. Put your questions in the chat if you have any. Des, I don't know if you can see from your end if we have viewers on YouTube, LinkedIn, or anywhere else. But if you're watching this live and you have questions about the Doors of Prosperity plan, apartment development, or an investment opportunity that we may be able to provide for you, just drop your questions in the chat. Every Wednesday, we're going to be here, guys. Every Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. live, and we are here for live Q&A. We're going to come with a presentation. We have something to talk about, but we would love for you guys to pop your comments and questions so that we can answer them live.
Yeah.
So imagine that. You get to invest into the development of 2 apartment buildings right directly in the path of progress. And we're developing these buildings brand new from the ground up, buying the raw land, going through what they call the horizontal developments. So there's 2 ways, there's 2 things you got to develop when you go to build something, right? The horizontal development is called what you do to the land. It's like Desi said, you have to get it entitled. It means that you have to get the approvals from the city, the water, the government, the environmental and everything to be able to build an apartment building on that land. So
even the fire department, Patrick.
Yes, we get through the horizontal development first. And then once that done, they call it shovel ready. Then now we can go out there and we can pour foundation and actually build the apartment. And so can you imagine being involved as an investor in a phase where your money's put to work with us to build these two buildings in consecutive?
Hmm.
One of the larger buildings we're going to sell, which will allow you within a 12 to 24 month time period to recapitalize plus a bit of a return on your capital. So you've got your capital back plus a return, but you retain infinite ownership in the second building, which the plan is to hold
Yeah.
long term.
Yeah.
Infinite hold. And one of the other cool things, Des, because this is great, right? But let's talk about the benefits of them owning a piece of the second building. What do they get? What's cool about owning the second building once they've been paid back? Guys, you have no more money in the game. You've been paid your investment dollar back plus a return, but you retain ownership in the second building. So what are some bullet points, Des? What's the cool benefits for investors to
Well,
retain ownership in an apartment building long term?
well, I can tell you one of the coolest ones that most people just love, and one of the reasons that they buy investment property is there's tremendous tax advantages for the owners of apartment buildings. And because these folks that are investing with us will have ownership interest in this building, they're going to experience really great tax advantages that can offset their other income. You know what I mean? So they can reduce their overall tax liability by taking deductions on an investment where they don't have any money invested. I mean, that's really. You wonder how the rich get richer, right? They know these little tricks.
And I
It's
will. I
really a
don't know if you.
powerful thing.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I did see a question in the YouTube chat. I don't know if you've seen it, but Margaret Burbank. Thanks for watching our live, Margaret, and participating, asking a question here in the comments. So her question is: have you started building these apartment buildings yet?
Yes, we have. We have the first two buildings are already under construction. Building number one is going under roof here either this week or early next week, which means that everything's all done. The sides are all up, right? And we're already working on the inside. We've already got all the walls for all the apartments inside done, but we're putting a roof on. We call it putting the lid on the thing. And the building number two, we've got all of our entitlements done. We're completely done. We are shovel ready, as Patrick just, to use the term Patrick just shared with you guys. We are good to go right there. So yes, yeah.
Yes, Margaret. Thank you for the question, Margaret Burbank. I appreciate that. And yes, so we are right now in what we call our first phase. Our first phase is to build a 32-unit apartment building to condo spec and a 48-unit building to condo spec. Okay. And so what we're going to end up doing in this first phase, of course, is sell the larger building once it's done, the 48, recapitalize our investors plus a bit of return, and then allow our investors to have permanent percentage of ownership in the 32-unit building on into perpetuity. I like that word. In
Wow.
perpetuity. Yes.
Yeah.
So, what we thought, Desi, you mentioned earlier, is a short term and long term in the same plan. And generally, the syndications is like generally I hear it about like 5 years. Usually they're buying the apartment building, they're doing the value add. Once the value add is done, they've increased the rents and done all that. They refinance the property. They usually get their investors out of there and then go on keeping the building themselves. So what we wanted to do is, since we have a family fund, Everly May is a family fund. We're a family run investment fund. And we're very, very big on legacy. Okay, for our own family. And one of the beautiful things that we do with this is not only get you a short-term in and out investment where you get your capital back, it's secured by real estate, it's a great deal, and you're implemental in building structures in a fast-growing city in Florida that will be there, and people will raise their families there for years to come. So it's awesome. But short-term is you get your money back pretty quick, and it comes with a bit of a return. Fantastic, right?
Mhm.
But then the long-term is, once again, you're going to retain ownership forever for you and your family to benefit from in the smaller apartment building. So again, two buildings at once. One building is far larger than the other. Right now, currently, we're halfway done with our 32 unit. The 48 unit is shovel ready to go. So we're building a 32 and a 48. We'll sell the 48, recapitalize the investors with a return, and then allow them to have permanent ownership forever in the 32 unit. And folks, we plan to do this consecutively building 2 or 4, depending on how fast we can run, 2 or 4 apartment buildings per year. Okay.
Mhm.
And you guys can recycle your money. Once again, if you are in phase 1, the 32 and the 48. You've invested money to help us build these buildings, okay? Well, after the buildings are built and we sell the 48 unit, you're going to get your money back while we're in turn going to build 2 more buildings. And so you see, Desi's talking about recycling the same money. Invest in phase 1. We build the 32 and the 48. We sell the 48 and you get permanent ownership in the 32. Now, reinvest the capital into phase 2 when we build the second 2 buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And what will happen is within 12 to 24 months, you'll get your money back plus a return and then have permanent ownership in another apartment building. And we're putting this on repeat, and it's for our family, of course, because this is not Mother Teresa work. We're doing this for our family, our cash flow, our legacy. But boy, when Desi came up with this plan to say, well, why don't we offer the same exact benefits that we get as the operators
Mm-hmm.
to our investor partners? Wouldn't it be great for their family, their legacy? Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what a cool plan this is. If you get what we're saying, you guys, in your life, if you understand what we're saying, the difference between your normal syndication model versus what we're doing, building brand new apartments directly in the path of progress, 2 at a time, selling one, keeping the other, and you get to participate with us. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you just want to drop an exclamation point in the comments because you're like, wow, this is awesome, go ahead and do so. And just to remind you, intended to be live Q&A. Okay, guys? So every single Wednesday, we're going to come on 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific time on the socials, and we encourage you, just like our watcher Margaret a few moments ago, so
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and put any question or comment you have in the comment section so that we can filter these and answer them live here every
Yeah.
single Wednesday. So what do you guys think, right? I do want to see an exclamation point in the comments if you're like, whoa, that's a really good idea. Wow, I like that idea, right? Um, and again,
Well,
if you don't
Patrick,
don't
there's
understand what we're
something
talking
else.
about, ask a question.
You had asked me also the other benefits, right?
Mhm.
Keeping that ownership in that 32 unit or the smaller of the 2 buildings. There's another benefit too, and that is just like any other piece of real estate that you own, you're going to experience appreciation over time, right? Real estate goes up over time. Now it goes up, goes down just like anything else, but over time, real estate goes up. There's no questioning that. And when I say over time, I don't mean over 12 months. I mean over a decade, 2 decades. It's going to be more expensive than it is today. It's just the reality of it. Well, what we're going to be doing is about every 7 to 10 years or so, based upon increasing the rents at a rate of around 3% per year, which is what when I ran my pro forma, I used 3% rental increases, which are really, it's pretty modest rental increase. Um, we'd be able to we'd be able to refinance that building every, let's say, 10 years and pull out this particular building, pull out $1 million and still keep our loan to value at less than 50% of the value of the building. And our partners would get their share of that $1 million as well.
Mhm.
Isn't that crazy? So not
So you're
only are
saying,
they getting rental income every month, but every decade or so, they're going to get a big chunk of money as well.
mm, yes, yes. So let me get this straight. They invest within 12 to 24 months, they get their money back that they've invested plus a return. They get infinite ownership on into the future in the smaller apartment building. They're going to be able to reap the tax benefits, the appreciation. They're going to be able to reap every 7 to 10 years when we refinance the property. Once the property's gone up a lot in value over that time frame, we refi up to 50% loan to value and there's cash pulled out. So you're talking about every 7 to 10 years as we do that refi, the investors are also going to get some sort of a windfall profit. They're going to get a nice check in the mail.
Yes.
Mm,
I mean,
mm, mm,
because
mm.
I've been a real estate investor myself since 1982. That's when I bought my first investment property, right? These are the things that we do anyway as investors. And those of you that are out there that are investors, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those of you that are not investors, you may be thinking, this is unbelievable. Well, guess what? When we pull that $1 million out, you know how much we have to pay in taxes on that $1 million, Patrick? Zero. Zero. Why? Because we're not selling our position in that property. We're literally just borrowing that. We're borrowing that money on that property. And the interest that we pay on that loan, the $1 million that we pull out, is completely tax deductible for us as the owners. This is the big boys game. right? Big boys and girls. This is the real deal. That's why I'm so excited about it. Also, Patrick, one of the things that as you know, we chose to do. This is typically the type of an investment that accredited investors get to invest in. And for those of you that don't know what that means, we're talking about rich people. Accredited investors are basically rich people. They get to invest in these kinds of deals. The rest of the world doesn't. Well, Patrick and I did not come from, quote, accredited families. Okay. Neither of us did. Right? We're both accredited now, but we didn't get it. We didn't get it that way. But we wanted to make sure that people that were not rich could also invest in our project. And so we went back to our securities attorney and had them draft up documents so that we could actually bring in non-accredited investors. A limited number, but we can bring in non-accredited investors into these investments as well. And so you don't have to be rich. What's Prince used? Prince had that song, "You don't have to be rich to be Remember
That
that
was pretty good, man. That was pretty good. Wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to be rich to invest with us and to build out a plan like this. And then one thing that I would like to say too, Patrick, is this, and I know you've done this for your family, but I think that if you really want to build a legacy for your family, instead of investing through your personal name, invest through a trust into this type of an investment.
Mhm.
Invest through a trust. Because if you do that, and there's a certain type of trust that we recommend, we'll talk about that on one of our upcoming episodes. So stay tuned for that. It's called a dynasty trust. We'll get into that. But if you invest in a trust, you're going to be able to, of course, use it while you're alive, but then it's also going to go on for your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren forever. In perpetuity, as
In
Patrick
perpetuity.
says.
I love that word. Um, Gosh, and can I just reflect back on your perfect Prince impersonation? That was really good. I must say. I must say. I didn't know your voice could go that high. I did.
Be my girl.
My goodness. Okay. All right. Enough of that. So we did have another comment in the YouTube chat from Margaret. So Margaret asked her second question. See, here's the thing. Anybody else watching this? See, we love Margaret. We don't care what questions she's asking. She's asking questions. So we love Margaret. So Margaret, we already love you. Put your questions in the chat. We'll try to answer them. So Margaret asked her second question. Okay. She said, "What is the return?" And I know that she is probably alluding to the fact that I said within 12 to 24 months, you get your money back plus a little bit of a return on that money.
Mm-hmm.
But the big benefit being that you get to retain a ownership percentage of the second building forever in perpetuity. Yes. So we talked about this with somebody else yesterday, and the problem was trying to calculate the return and be real about that. Whereas if you know your exit strategy, Desi, is to do a syndication model. Buy an old value add property that has dilapidation. You're going to go in there and fix it. You get the investor's money. You get in there. You repair it. You get some of the old tenants out. You raise the rents because it's a nicer place to live. Now you put new tenants in there. Now it's producing higher rents. The building is valued at a much higher level. And they usually refinance then, and generally, in our opinion, over leverage the building.
Yeah, they do.
And then they pay their investors back. And so, they could say, well, you were invested at this time. You were involved in the investment for a 5-year time period. You invested this much. You ended up getting this much back over those 5 years. And you can put that in a financial calculator and go, it was a 15%, return over those 5 years or whatever it may be. Okay. This is a little different. And she answered, yes, that is her question. But this is a little different. So I'll let you take the floor on that, Des, and you can help explain this. But of course, the theory is she wants to know what the return is in the 12 to 24 month return of her capital. What's the return on that? And then you can expand that into why can't we promise any type of a number percentage rate of return? Because the rest of it is infinite for you and your family. Because you don't have any money in the deal. Yeah. And so go ahead. You can explain that.
Yeah. You could bring Einstein in and he couldn't do the math. So it just wouldn't work. But initially, what our plan is this. We're going to be building the 2 buildings, selling the 1 building, refunding all of the capital invested to our partners, plus a 6% return, annualized. 6% annualized return. So that's a decent return to begin with. It's already 5 times what banks are giving, right? 5 or 6
more
times.
It's more than Grant Cardone pays.
It sure is. I know Grant Cardone pays 5% to people that invest in his Cardone Capital Fund. I know that because I've looked at it and I've looked over his paperwork. So we pay 6%, which is a nice return on your money. And then from there, though, the guy yesterday was saying, so what's my return after that? Well, it's impossible to calculate because you don't have any investment. You got your money out already.
Well,
So
it's infinite. It's infinite. Yeah.
yeah, it's
That-
infinite.
yeah.
It's infinite. So
And so let me ask you this, Desi. I'm going to ask a question for the audience on their
Okay.
behalf. Okay. So could we go a different route if we wanted to? Could we go a different route? Could we build the two buildings using investor capital, sell the first building, refi the second building, and have enough capital to get our investors out of the way? We paid them back with a return they get attracted to when they hear it, right? We could say, oh, if you help us build these apartment buildings, you'll get a 15% return on your money. And they're like, dang, 15%. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can go that route, can't we? We can choose to go that route.
For sure.
We could have you guys invest into helping our family and our fund build these apartment buildings. We could do what we do with the buildings in order to buy you guys out. We could get our investors out, say in a 5-year time period with a 15% return, and that's it. And that's great. And that's what the normal syndication model really is usually, right? And so that's why we believe this is far better for those folks who are not return percentage specific, right? Because again, this is a 6% return on your money for helping us get the darn things built. After that, when you've got your money back plus the 6% return, you now have permanent ownership forever for you and your family in the second building. And so when it comes down to the depreciation, the tax write-offs, every 7 to 10 years when we refi the property and you get a big fat check in the mail on top of your monthly cash flow. So you're collecting monthly cash flow from the rents, a portion of. You're getting a portion of the depreciation, the tax write-off capabilities of owning that building.
Right.
And then every 7 to 10 years when we refi, you're going to get a big fat check in the mail. We don't know how much because we don't know how much the value of the property will have increased over those 7 to 10 years and exactly how much we can get out when we refi. But boy, cash flow, tax write-offs, legacy for your family. Every 7 to 10 years, the family or your trust is going to get a big fat check because we're going to get money out of that
Yeah.
apartment building and send some of it to you. So at the end of the day, again, let me ask you this. If you understand what I'm saying, drop a number 2 in the comments. Just shows me you understand what I'm saying so you get it, right? It's just a different model and it's really built upon the idea of legacy wealth, which is what we preach a lot, right? Which is to invest into you and your family's future. And
Yeah.
that's the point of all this.
that is the point. You know, Patrick, it makes me think of this. We all know that like movie stars and let's say like singers and other performers, they can, let's just say, for example, Michael Jackson, right? He takes the time to record music. And then every time that music is played or is sold in the future, Michael Jackson makes a little money, right? So what's
Royalties.
his return? I mean, how do you even do the math on that? That money just continues to come in. And he's already done the work once. And that's what I equate this to. It's like, you know, we did the work once. We built the building. We got all of our money back out. Everybody got their money back out, plus a decent return at 6%. And now forever, they've just created this source of residual income that comes in forever. You know, otherwise, how else do we get this residual passive income? I can't sing. I'm not a great actor. You know what I mean? What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? So this is a way to create passive income into a person's family, into their life, and it can go on, and it will go on forever and ever and ever, and they can use the same money to every year, every 18 months, however often they want to invest. They can increase that income. So you do that over your lifetime. By the time you guys hit retirement, those of you guys that have not yet retired, by the time you hit retirement, there's no telling how much passive income you're going to have coming in from all the doors that you now receive income from. That's why we call it doors to prosperity, guys. Doors to prosperity.
And we are getting some questions in the comments. And so I thank you guys for participating. We have a question from Sean B. And then we have another question from our favorite guest today, Margaret. And so what I'm going to tell you about with Sean B, Des, is his question is, first he says, thank you for sharing our knowledge. And Sean, you're welcome. Okay.
Yes.
How do you use a dynasty trust to invest in these projects? And
Okay.
I'll let you give a short 30-second summary on that. Not a
Okay.
big deal here because this show is not about the trusts. We're going to have a live. Maybe it's a good time to schedule the Dynasty Trust conversation for next Wednesday since it's coming
Yes.
up now. But go ahead and cover the high level of the trust, the idea of a trust, what a Dynasty Trust is compared to a different trust, and why they'd want to use one of those.
Okay. So, there's all different kinds of trusts. If you Google just different types of trusts, you're going to see a long list. A dynasty trust is a trust that lasts for a really long time, 300 years to 1,000 years, depending on where you set up your dynasty trust, right? 360 years, I should say, I think is the shortest one that I'm aware of, and then 1,000 years is the longest one that I'm aware of. So you set up your dynasty trust to own whatever assets that it is that you're investing in. Now, we're suggesting, of course, you invest with us in the multifamily. However, you could be investing in cryptocurrency. You could be investing in oil wells, in anything. And you could have it owned by the dynasty trust. So when you take ownership of the asset, instead of putting, your own name on the line where it says, new owner, you just put the name of the trust on that spot. And you are the trustee for that trust. If you want to be, you could make someone else a trustee, but I'm the trustee of my dynasty trust. You are the trustees, which means that you can control this trust. You have complete control over this trust, but yet the assets are not owned by you personally. And therefore, if you get sued, your money's protected, right? Because you don't own anything. That's the beauty of a trust in general. Now, you may have a living trust right now. Most people have that. Most people that have a trust, Patrick, they have a living trust, right?
Yeah.
And a living trust is good. You should have a living trust. I have both, the dynasty trust and the living trust. We use our living trust. Most people use their living trust to pass their inheritance on to their children or their grandchildren. But the problem with a living trust is that it dies shortly after you do. It doesn't last for multiple generations. And so if you want something if you want to create something that's going to create income into your family for multiple generations, and you want to make sure that that happens, I would suggest speaking with one of the attorneys that specialize in drafting dynasty trusts. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yep. And we do have that too, by the way. If you're interested in opening up a dynasty trust, of course, we have done it ourselves. We preach it. We love a dynasty trust. And we have an attorney that we trust that can set you one up. So you're welcome to reach out to us if you're looking to set up a
Yeah.
dynasty trust for your family legacy. And of course, yes, it's because it protects it. The whole statement of own nothing but control everything. That's why we use these trusts. You don't
Yeah.
own anything, you control it though. And also too, it's able to be passed down through generations. And boy, let me tell you something. I believe these buildings that are brand newly built, okay, are going to be there for 30, 40, 50 years housing families. And so perhaps some of you folks who know that maybe you probably won't be around 50 years from now, but the apartments will. And so the cash flow, the tax write-offs, all the benefits of this investment will be passed on to your family. And we believe a dynasty trust is one of the best ways to do that. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now we have one question here as well. From Margaret. I'll go get Margaret's question. She says, is your investment, let's see, something's blocking that, but is your investment structured to return the money to collect interest so that they can be set to reinvest in the next building? I think I understand that question. And yes, to answer your question, Margaret, that is our plan, right? Doors to prosperity. How many doors can you own long term to create real prosperity for you and your family? And so that's the Doors to Prosperity plan. Exactly. If somebody invests right now with us now in phase one, where we're halfway done building the 32 unit. The 48 unit is shovel ready. We're ready to go. So we're building these first two buildings, 32 and 48. If somebody invests with us, as soon as the 48 is done and occupied, we're going to sell it. You're going to get your money back that you've invested in the first phase of those two buildings, get your money back plus that 6% return. So you've been made whole plus a return. Okay. And of course, we're going to go to phase two, which is to build the next two buildings and repeat this process. And yes, of course, that's why it's a beautiful plan, Margaret, because as soon as you get your money back plus your 6% return, you're welcome to reinvest that with us to go to the next two buildings. And as you continue to go through these building phases with us and keep recycling that money, don't you realize that every phase we get through is going to end up garnering you ownership forever in these apartment buildings. And so when we're done with the first two, you'll get permanent ownership in one apartment building. Then when we're done with the second two, you'll get permanent ownership in another apartment building. The third two, permanent ownership in another apartment building. So at the end of the day, from here through probably 2032, okay, somewhere around there for sure, is we're going to try to build 1,000 units or more. Mm-hmm. And these are smaller buildings, 32, 64, 84, 40 units. And these are the type of buildings we're going to build because we can get them done fairly quickly, okay, from start to finish. And so what a beautiful thing, right, Margaret, to answer your question? Yeah, you're going to get your money back plus your return and then recycle that money into the next build. Each time you invest with us in one of these phases, you're going to get your 6% return and your money back quickly. Then you're going to retain permanent ownership with us of that apartment building, reaping all those benefits. So basically, yeah, how many times can we put this on repeat? How many times do you want to recycle the money and play with us is how many doors and how much you will actually own for you and your family legacy forever. Yes, that is the plan. I hope I answered your question there.
And it is their choice, right, Patrick?
Oh, sure. You don't have to keep reinvesting.
Yeah. You don't have to. You can say, okay, I have an ownership interest in the 32 unit building. I got all my money back. I made a decent return, and now I'm going to go do something else.
A question from someone in the chat, and they said, is a dynasty trust irrevocable?
While you're alive, it's revocable. When you die, it becomes irrevocable. That's how mine is structured. I'm not a lawyer, but I imagine if you wanted to make it irrevocable from day one, you could, but I don't know why you'd want to do that. But mine is structured so that while I'm alive, I can revoke it and I can make changes to it. But once I die, it is not revocable and my heirs can't make changes to it. It is what it is.
Yep. Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
We answered that question for you as well. So again, just to remind everybody, once again, we're getting some really great participation. So I just want to reach out. I want to thank Sean B. I want to thank Margaret, the people that are participating, because every single Wednesday now, moving forward, we're going to be here live, YouTube and other social media platforms, and live from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. We're going to bring a different type of financial intelligence, a different type of subject to talk about. Mm-hmm. But really, these are intended to be live Q&A to answer all of your questions out there when it comes to these type of endeavors. And we're here for you guys. So thank you for participating. Feel free, always. Don't be scared. Go ahead. Type your comment, type your question in the comment section, and we'll answer it live here every single week, okay? So maybe, like we said, Des, we can already plan like maybe for next week. So next Wednesday from 5 to 6 o'clock, we're going to talk dynasty trusts. We're going to talk legacy wealth. We're going to talk how to be the change maker in your family, right? Mm-hmm. But for now, let's stick to topic, okay? This is one of the coolest things, Des, that I think will benefit all the people that support us and trust us with their money. And you know what a beautiful feeling that is, honestly. It's a different feeling, too, to know that, yeah, certainly we could have banks, hard money lenders, financial institutions, and guys, we don't need to do this plan. We don't need it. We're doing it for a purpose because it's in our hearts to do this. We could go and use bank money and finance money and construction loans, and we could build these suckers and keep them and do our thing, okay? But Desi and I really do want to help other people leave a lasting legacy for their families. We believe that's very important. And so that's why we made this new plan, Doors of Prosperity. The theory is for you to be rewarded as an investor for helping us with your dollars to get this plan across the table and build these buildings. Yes, that's where your participation comes into play. And because you're going to help us do that, we want you to be in the same position that we are in as the operators. We want you guys to get that return on your investment and get your money back. That's first and foremost, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Number one rule of investing, don't lose money, get your money back. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we want that to happen for you. And we want you to be happy as an investor that was the outcome with your investment dollar. But on top of that, we're going to the next level. We want you also, because you're supporting us, because you're helping us to build these buildings, we want you to retain permanent ownership for you and your family forever as long as that building stands.
Hmm.
And so, again, that's very difficult to try to calculate a return on investment. Okay. So, guys, you get the tax write offs, you get the depreciation. Every 7 to 10 years, we refinance as the value of the building rises. We refinance, always keeping it about 50% loan to value ratio, never over leveraging. But every time we refinance back up to 50% loan to value ratio on the building that you have permanent ownership in, you're also not only going to be getting that passive monthly cash flow from rents, but every 7 to 10 years, you're going to get a big old fat check in the mail because we refied and it's tax free money. So we can't, it's so difficult to calculate the return. All we can say is that it's infinite and it's really for you and also for your family and your heirs. And so I hope we're getting that point across. If you like this and you're jiving with it, throw that exclamation point down there in the comments. I want to check it out.
Patrick, I do want to piggyback on something that you said. Okay, you made the comment about lenders, right? We, just to be clear, we were already, Patrick and I were already doing this. We've got I think right now, $3.4 million of our own money in this deal already. And we have the capacity, the financial capacity to borrow the money to do this entire project. We don't need to bring on a partner or partners. This is, like Patrick just said, this is by choice, right? This is by choice. And most people in our position don't do that. As I mentioned earlier, they look at it and they go, why deal with people? Why give up part ownership of the buildings forever when we don't have to? We just borrow the money from a bank, finish the construction, pay the bank back, and now we own the whole thing ourselves. That certainly is where we were going initially. But as I said, I woke up one night and I just felt, you know what? We can do better. We can do better. I mean, we can do better for others. It's not just about us. Patrick and I are doing fine financially, but this is an opportunity that we can bring to the table to help others. And that's why
And
we
does
do
he,
it.
Sean B said, yes, I love this plan because he said we're going to be helping families have a place to live and create memories along with benefiting our investors long term, short term and long term.
Yes.
So, yes, Sean, that's the plan, right? The
Yes.
idea is to allow people that don't have the connections we have, don't have the abilities we have, don't have the political pull out there in Florida, don't have the team, the apartment building team out there, don't have all this that we have, okay? But we want you to have the same benefits as
Yeah.
us, the operators, as just the passive investors. And so that brings me to Margaret, loving Margaret. Okay. We need to have Margaret on every week, I think. So Margaret says, are you all maintaining the upkeep and management of that apartment building that they get permanent ownership of? And then are they just very passive and sort of just collecting the checks?
Yes. Yes, yes. You guys are limited partners. All of our partners are limited partners. And our firm, Everly May, is the general partner. And we'll be managing it and hiring property managers to deal with everything and handling everything. So really, it is uh, about as passive as can be for our limited partners, right? It's no different than if you bought stock in Microsoft. You don't go to Microsoft and have to work. You just put your money in Microsoft. They pay you the dividends, whatever it is that they're going to be paying out that year, and that's how it works. Our program works exactly like that.
And you know what I think too, Des? I was thinking about this too. What a cool opportunity for people that have IRA 401k money that's not performing well. It's managed by somebody else. It's diversified across the stock market. They have no control over it. They don't know where it's going to be when they're 65. This is a pretty cool thing, right, for an IRA because the cash flow will go back into the IRA, building up someone's retirement. The windfall profits every 7 to 10 years from the refinance will go back into somebody's IRA. And so, yes, this is available, guys, as an investment opportunity if you have cash. But if you have IRA 401k and you want to put it in a really great thing like this, it's open for that as well.
Yeah, it's eligible. This is an eligible investment for those types of funds, which is
Now,
really nice.
now, Des, we do have the ability in this fund, right, guys? And again, another thing that we just invested extra money, extra time to do for you, okay, which is this is a fund that is normally only for accredited investors. Okay, only accrediteds usually get this kind of an opportunity, but we have it open for a certain amount and a certain amount of a certain dollar amount that can be invested by non-accredited investors. And so you don't have to be on that accredited investor list to get into this opportunity. One of the things you will have to have, though, is a minimum investment amount of what, Des? Somebody might say, well, hey, I might want to get into this. How much do I got to invest if I want to just do the minimum? And why don't you discuss, kind of the average investor? What does our
Yeah.
average investor invest usually thus far? And what, though, is the minimum for
Well,
somebody
I
to
can
get
tell
into?
you that investments like these, like this one, typically will have a $100,000 to $250,000 minimum. That's not unusual at all. Okay, that's typical because, as I said, these are accredited, wealthy people that are investing in these deals. But I know that that can be difficult for a lot of people, and so Patrick and I decided that we would have our minimum investment at only $25,000. So, if you got a little 401k, a little IRA, or if you have some equity in your real estate. Think about this, Patrick. Someone that has equity in their real estate, maybe they have a house or a rental house, they can pull equity out knowing that within, 12 to 18 months, they're going to be able to pay off that equity loan because they're going to get all their money back, right? So they can pull a little equity out in order to position themselves and to position their family to receive residual income forever by making by making a movie right now, so to speak. You create the movie once and you get paid forever every time this thing plays. And in this case, it plays every single month. Most of our investors that invest with us, Patrick, are in the six-figure range. Most people that invest we have people that invest million and a half with us. But most people are right around 100 to $200,000. That's very typical. Okay.
Yeah. So, our average investor, guys, is coming in for around 100 to 200 grand. That's our average investor that plays in this deal. But
Yep.
our minimum is $25,000, and it
Yep.
is open to non-accredited investors. Like Desi said, Desi and I didn't come from rich families. We didn't come from a whole bunch of money. And, we've gotten ourselves into a very unique opportunity here. Lots of years of hard work, lots of connections made to be in this position to be able to do what we're doing, is building these apartments from the ground up out there in the fastest growing area in Florida. And, so we really, really want we want you, okay, our investor partners and the people supporting us in this want to join us. We want you to benefit, obviously, but more so, we want your family, your heirs, and people that you care about to benefit from the moves you're making, right? From the moves you're making now, this can benefit your family for years and years and years and
Yeah.
years to come. So
Yeah.
that's the idea.
That's the idea behind the Doors to Prosperity program. And I hope that you guys love what you've heard. Share this with other people, right? Share this with people that you know that are out there in the world, because really, it's our goal to help as many people as possible create passive income into their lives. Someone had pointed out to me years ago that if you want to retire, it's not about age. It's really about how much income that you have coming in where you don't have to work, right? And it's got to be passive income. Most people don't have a way to create passive income, Patrick. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll go out and buy rental properties. That's what I did, right? 28 years old, I bought my first few rental properties. But I found that I had created a job for myself, being a landlord. So I didn't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. So we offer people an opportunity to get all the benefits of being a landlord without having to do the work of being a landlord. And being a landlord in a multifamily property like a 32 unit or a 48 unit or 100 units gives you the ability to hire competent professionals so that none of us have to deal with the tenants and the toilets and the trash, right? We don't have to deal with that. There's enough rent coming in to have someone on site to handle those things. And so that's how we structured this. So it's going to really be a passive investment for anyone that partners with us.
And Des, Sean B said, you guys are like Miami Vice, Crockett and Tubbs on the financing tip. And Margaret said, hey, what's the time frame, right? Yes, the time frame is 12 to 18 months for these phases. And
Yeah.
so, 12 to 18 months is the investment, get your capital back plus your return, and then retain ownership in that building and do it again, right? And so, Desi, yeah, go ahead. And if people have questions, and if they would like to reach out to you because they are interested in participating with us in this venture, I know you flashed your number there up on the screen for a moment, but go ahead, keep that up and tell people how would they get a hold of Desi if they want to conversate with you.
Okay. The best way to do it is to call or text this number that's on the screen. That's my mobile phone number. Okay. It's the 951-551-0087. And I will be happy speak with you, get you on my calendar really, so that we can speak at a time where both of us are available and answer all your questions. We can also send you out information as well. We have information that we can send you so that you can review it and come prepared with questions. So what I would suggest for that is reaching out to, I guess, Patrick or myself, right?
Yeah.
Patrick,
Mhm.
let me see if I have it here that I can put it up on the screen. I've
And
got
while you're doing that, I'm just going to remind everybody, okay? This is the Passive Wealth Power Hour, okay? And we're going to power through one of these hours every single Wednesday live, YouTube, on social media, every single Wednesday from 5 o'clock to 6 p.m. Pacific time. And we're going to be going over all of the practices that we use in our family, the investments that we operate, and some of the investment opportunities that we have for others in some of the ventures that we're involved in now. And so I just want to thank the folks who have participated, right? Margaret, Sean B,
Yeah.
all you folks are awesome. We really appreciate this. Is our first show. So we thank you for being on here, giving us some questions to answer, and showing your interest in this Doors to Prosperity plan. So
Yes.
if you have any questions, reach out to Desi. He's the main fund manager, right? So Desi Arnaz at 951-551-0087. He can give you the actual investment offer via private placement memorandum if you're interested in participating with us. And of course, he's open to talk if you have questions, of course, that you still need answered about this opportunity.
Yes,
Okay?
yes, yes. I love talking about it, first of all, Patrick, and I love what it does for people and their families. Uh, I do know this. I do know that we have a unique opportunity. It's very unique. I don't know of any other firm that's doing anything even close to this. Okay? And so I see it as really a no-brainer, but that's just me, right? Well, why would you want to do this? This makes so much
Well,
sense.
I tell you why. Only if they don't have the liquidity to make the investment. Then
Yeah.
yeah, don't do it. But if you got the
Yeah.
liquidity and you understand what we're talking about here, amazing opportunity. I think Margaret gets it, Des. In the chat, she says, "Amen. I'm calling. I'm ready to invest with you, Desi." I love it. I love it. No,
All
and
right,
that's
all
why
right.
we're here, you guys. And look, today was about our investment opportunity, the Doors to Prosperity that we have going on, because we want to invite you and your family into this project. We believe it'll benefit your family for years and years and years to come. Okay. But every Wednesday, we're going to be here, not talking about this same thing, but every Wednesday, we're going to be here. Passive Wealth Power Hour with Desi Arnaz, Patrick Franz, live on social media. We'll be here every Wednesday, 5 o'clock to 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Hmm.
So subscribe to our channels at The Real Patrick Franz, The Real Desi Arnaz. Get on our YouTube channels and subscribe and hit the little bell. There's a notification bell on the YouTube where you can get notified so that you don't miss these shows. And next week, I think what we'll talk about, Des, is we'll go ahead and cover a dynasty trust and
I
how we
love it.
utilize the dynasty trust to do our own family banking and some investments, keeping your stuff away from the grasp of others, the government, lawsuits, those kinds of things, protecting your assets and building major wealth for your family legacy. We'll
Yeah.
cover that next week.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Patrick. Thank you so much, Patrick. This is our first episode, guys. I hope you guys got some value from this, and I'm looking forward to speaking with any of you guys that want to speak to us about what we talked about today. So thank you all so much for joining us.
Mhm.
And I just want to say, Patrick, if you don't mind, you know me. I want to say this, guys. God bless you, God bless your family, and God bless America. We see you guys next week.
See y'all.